Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. And today's video, I wanted to showcase some of the new Christmas products that we've got coming to Hey Little Magpie, which is my online retail store. We've got some Cutfiles, some Flair badges, and some JD3DPrint products. So I'm documenting some photos from Christmas 2016 of my two getting their presents. So I'm starting off with this old Vicki Boutin stencil. It came in a pack of 3. I can't remember which range it was from. It was a good few years ago now. And I'm using iced spruce to go through the stencil with my blending tool. I will reposition it slightly to the left once I've gone over this part because I wanted it to cover a wide area of the middle of the cardstock that I'm using. So just checking that everything's okay there, and you can see I've smudged a bit over the top of the stencil. I should have put washi tape there really to protect it, but it doesn't matter because it'll be covered by the cut file more or less anyway. Sometimes these imperfections you worry about, but once the layout's all put together it really doesn't show too much. So just blending and splodging the ink through the stencil there, checking that everything's covered. I haven't quite got it down the middle here between the two where the join is, so just adding a little bit more. As I say, not too worried because I know a lot of this is going to be covered up. So just going over the top there, adding a few more dots. And then trying to fill in the bits where I've got half circles, but it's a fruitless exercise really because you try and do one and then more appear. So I don't like blocky edges, so there at the end I was just trying to add a few more around the edge to make it look less blocky. But again, most of this gets covered up. So this is the Ho 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 cut file from Hey Little Magpie, and I'm going to back it with this red paper from Bella Besties. At first I think I'm going to draw around the letters with a pencil and cut them out. There's a few different ways that I back cut files, but I just couldn't be bothered with this, and it's quite an easy cut file. So in the end I decided to just glue the whole cut file where the red's going to be onto the red and then cut it out. Using this cheaper glue that I've got that I'm trying to get through at the moment, it means that I can lift it up fairly easily if I need to manipulate the paper and then stick it back down after. So the whole of the Ho 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 is going to be in red, and the main body of the Santa hat. So just making sure that all that's covered in glue, and then I shall stick it down and start cutting out. There we go. So I can start trimming now. And my preferred method of using cut files tends to be just to keep them as is and ink them or colour them. But sometimes they're nice to back, and something like this is really nice to back to give it pride of place on the layout, so to speak. So just trimming around this hat, and if you angle your scissors in ever so slightly, then you don't see the card around the outside. And then I just need to make sure that I cut it underneath where the white trim will go. I realise that it's hard working with a huge piece of card, so I'm better cutting it off first. Just trimming around this O before it all comes off. So do you back cut files? How do you do it? Do you tend to cut letters out individually, or are you like me? Like I say, I do a bit of both. I'll cut the bits out individually if it's more intricate and if the edges are thinner. But this is fairly, as cut files go, it's fairly chunky, so it was quite easy just to trim it in place this time. Just going around some of the fiddly bits to start with, and then it will just be a case of going around all those letters. So I won't make you watch all of this. I will fade out in a minute, because it's pretty boring watching somebody do this. But these cutter bee scissors are amazing for either fussy cutting or cutting around cut files like this. So there's the last bit, and then I need to add the white to the pom-pom on his hat and the fur trim. So just checking the placement, and I love how that's all in red. It really makes it pop, because the photos are very red and grey. It was nice just to use the red on this, and we've got the green in the background. So now the white's on, I can start building the layout. So starting with these Flair badges that we've got. and I choose one that says Presents, and it's nice to bring some yellow in. And I'm going to use the Vicki Boutin Evergreen and Holly collection. I've just pulled out the sticker sheet, the sticker book, and the 6x8 paper pad for this. And I love that star paper, so I decide that I want to tear a strip. So just pulling the top strip off and then popping that under the photos. And I shall build up a photo map towards the bottom here. So I keep going through the pad and I see this lovely buffalo check. So another torn piece of that. And I decide I want them to span over the layout, not all the way to the edge, but a good chunk. And then I love the reverse of that buffalo check, so using a piece of that as well. It's almost like a very pale green. So now that I'm happy with the positioning of those strips, I'm just going to get those glued down so that I can carry on with the embellishing. And I'm going to use some of my washi tape as well on this layout. So I just pulled out a load of washi tape in blacks, golds and reds and greys. So once these strips are down, I shall start adding some washi layers as well. Just ruffling up the edges of those torn papers. So as I mentioned, that Ho 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 is a cut file from Hey Little Magpie. You can buy it digitally or we can cut it for you and post it to you. And the Presents is one of the new Flair sets. We've got quite a few new Christmas Flair sets coming into the shop. So here I am with my washi tape. These are just very old washi tapes that I've had in my collection for a while. And I love doing this, just adding strips to create layers underneath the bottom of the photo. And I'm just bringing the photos back in each time to see how the strips sit underneath those photos. So just bringing each washi tape in slightly. And I'm happy with the build up there. So now I shall start sticking things down. So using my Sticks 2 6mm foam tape on a roll to stick this cut file down. I'm not going in with those large 25mm foam tabs this time because they're a bit too chunky and you can get a bit more precision with this. So just sticking the foam where it needs to be, and then that will be popped down on top of the photos. And I like doing this with cut files because then you can tuck things underneath. Almost done, just a few more pieces. That's it. Oh no, I just want to make sure that everything's popped up and it's not going to be pushed down when it's in the page protector. So there we go. So now gluing the photos down before I pop that cut file down. Just trying to work out where I want this photo of Amelia and James, but I decide that there's a lot of empty space on that photo of James, so that gets covered because we've already got most of it in the first photo anyway. It's only our lounge. So now I shall start building up the embellishment clusters once this cut file is stuck down. So I thought about bringing the Flair badge down there into the torn paper strips, but decided that it's better on the left-hand side. So I wanted to use one of the JD3DPrint Christmas titles that we've got in the shop, and this Merry Christmas one fitted really nicely with the Ho 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 because this is actually Christmas Day. I thought that would work beautifully. So now just going in with the stickers from the sticker book. This little semicircle says December 25th. So that works beautifully. And then I find another banner strip that goes on James's photo and it says Joyful. And it's just bringing this black and gold into the layout. I'm just looking through to see what else I can find. I want some circle stickers to go with that flare. I like doing clusters of circles. So I find this one that says I believe in Santa. And then at first I think I want to use the little one that says 25. It is a darker red than the I believe in Santa, but I'm not quite happy with the way it is when I try and put it there. So I'll swap that out in a minute for a white and black sticker that just says the best. When I pulled it up, some of the washi tape came up, but it went back down okay. So there we go, that's the one that I swap it out for. So just gluing down this flare, and you can see our flare flat backed so that you can just use any adhesive you want to stick them down. And now sticking down the JD3DPrint Merry Christmas title. And if you got one of the kits that I did in collaboration with Jackie Ashton for Document December, you will have received one of these Merry Christmas titles in that kit. So looking through the other stickers now to see what else I can add. I know I want to bring in some of those gold stars, but I just want to build other bits up a little bit more before I do that. So just seeing what else is available to me. And I see these trees because I want to start building up the cluster on the right hand side of the title. So I start with one of those Christmas trees there. And then I find this banner sticker that says Holiday Cutie. And at first I think I'm going to put it on the right, but it sits much nicer on the left underneath that Presents Flair badge. So just sticking that down there. And I'll link all these products down below in the description box. And we can also ship internationally now. The JD3D and the Flair badges are all on our new Etsy shop. So I shall link that below with flat rate international shipping, which is very reasonable. I know some people have asked about the JD3D and I've been struggling to find a way of putting it on my website. So I thought having an Etsy shop would be the easiest way to do that. So just embellishing now with these gold stars. Some gold, some black and white, just adding some sprinkles all around the layout. And this is a great way of covering up any of that inking that you're not entirely happy with. So that star there went over a circle that was a little bit dodgy. And now I wanted to have a look at these word strips. I just wanted to add something to that circle that I've got underneath the tree. I knew there'd be something here that I could use, and I end up with one that says Holiday Magic. So all that's left now really is to add the date using my trusty date stamp, which was 25th of December 2016. And then I'm going to go in with some gold watercolour splatters just to bring in a little bit more of that gold and shimmer to the layout. And I think I'm done at that point, but when I finish the splatters and I take the layout away to show my husband, I realise that it's really centred a little bit high. I do this quite often where I leave too much of a space at the bottom. Sometimes I'll do my journaling at the bottom, but there isn't really a lot to say about this. It's just the kids with their presents. So I'll show you my way of fixing that. I've shown you when I've put things off centre in the middle, but this is when it's too high. I'm just taking 1 inch off the bottom of the card and 1/2 inch off each of the sides. And you can see that red strip, it puts it right at the edge, so I do just trim a tiny bit off that using my scissors because I didn't want to take those strips right to the edge of the layout. And then I'm going to glue it down onto a piece of the 12 by 12 paper from the Vicki Boutin collection. And I go for this black with the white snowflakes. I think it works really nicely and really adds a pop. So just roughing up the edges of the white cardstock and then going in with my PVA just to glue this all down. And that's it. So thank you so much for watching. I'll leave you with some close-ups at the end. Thank you very much to everybody who's subscribed, and if you haven't yet, I would love it if you would join me and subscribe to my channel so that you see all my new uploads. Other than that, I shall see you again very soon. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye.